My name's Trevor Prinz. I'm here to talk to you today about base jump. Now, what is base? It's commonly misinterpreted as building antenna span Earth. That's the correct way. I meant to switch it up, but it's so ingrained in my psyche to be the proper one that I couldn't get away from that, and that's what I want to instill in all of you today. So, what is a base jump? So, as I said, one may base jump from a bridge, a antenna, a span, which is a bridge. So there's the inconsistencies. Building would have been the B in the base. And E from Earth. Now, what are we talking about? Cliffs. We're talking about ravines, whatever. Anything deep enough to where you can hop off, huck a chute, and you're cruising. Okay? Throughout the time of ram air parachutes, human beings have been trying to push the limits. We have now in our repertoire something called a wingsuit. Now, this suit allows you not only to fly this way, but it allows you to fly this way, this way, this way. Basically, you can have 100 different bearings in one jump, which of course leads us to proximity flying, obviously. In Switzerland, there's a beautiful environment there, Interlaken, and heralded across the world as the base jumping capital of the world. Here in Interlaken, what they do is they base jump, but with a wingsuit on, and the intent is to fly as close to the mountains as possible without actually hitting those mountains. Talk about adrenaline rush, you know what I mean? These same fellas did this in South America some 8 years back, and it's quite a famous story where one of them biffed it a little bit, and he kind of undershot a cliff he was going over, and he caught his legs and tumbled. Subsequently, they actually wanted to go back and replicate the jump, but they got denied by the South African government. The point is where did we come from to get here? And it's skydiving. Skydiving is how we've come to be these base jumping adrenaline junkies. Now, skydiving, parachuting is simply jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. You may hear other cliches like grip it and rip it, which implies grabbing your toggle, throwing the chute, and then hey, you're under canopy and you're cruising, you're flying. And personally, I have dabbled, and that under canopy play, you want to feel free. That's the ticket. There's something to be said for jumping out of an airplane face first and doing a couple backflips, and then throwing your chute, or trying to reestablish some sort of bearing and then doing it. But the canopy play, in pulling toggles very, very aggressively down, you can downward spiral in just the most eloquent way. Base jumping, on the other hand, there's not as much leeway. So let's say I'm jumping off a building. Let's talk Dubai. Dubai had a lot of that going on recently, and let's say the tower is 1,000 meters high. So you have one chance to throw that chute, and provided the chute doesn't fuck up, you're Gucci. Unless the wind shifts on you, guess what? You go right back into the building. Span, same thing. A bridge. You jump off the wrong bridge. The air currents coming through could push you up against things, up and da all that fun stuff. The fundamental truth is, though, 99% of accidents that happen skydiving are as a result of user error, in that they didn't pack their chute correctly, they overpacked their chute, they underpacked their chute, that's called a slam pack, or they just didn't take care of their lines, and in time they degrade and you lose that. And if you don't have steerability, you can no longer parachute, which is why in a lot of reserves come with the main chute, to which you can detach your front chute and have a second one. In base jumping, that's not really an option because we're talking about such smaller distances. But that is a baseline base jumping kind of synopsis. To wrap up, again, I'm going to go through the acronym one more time. Base, building, antenna, span, earth. And with that, I'd like to open the floor up to any questions.
What, in your opinion, from that base acronym, could you rank the ones in terms of like interest, antenna, base, space, or?
Well, with today's technology, buildings they're going up and up and up and up and up. The one in Dubai, for example, I believe that's the highest place you can jump from. They don't include hot air balloons in the mix, but those can go higher. There was that gentleman, Felix Baumgartner, who jumped from a space balloon. I don't know what they consider that. That's kind of gray area. I believe antennas, though, still win out as the highest places one can jump from.
And as such, the best? Is that?
Different.
Because
To
that's
climb
what
up
I
to
mean
those
by like
antennas.
interest, though.
Interest, I think Earth still
Earth.
bridges, spans. I think those buildings, spans, and Earth, I think are still the three
So
most prolific.
3 of the 4.
3 of the 4. Yeah, I think people are doing it regularly. Yeah.
I just have a question on
Sure.
maybe
Get comfortable with this question.
how long would it take for someone to acclimate to this sort of activity? Like, is this something you just decide one day to do and hope for the best, or do you have some sort of training?
Yeah, there's absolutely training involved. So to become a skydiver, quote unquote, a parachutist, one must have blah amount of jumps. I think to even be considered a contender to be in base jumping, I think you have to have something on the order of 500 jumps, or maybe it's 5,000, something crazy like that. The wingsuit is more than that even. Actually, maybe the wingsuit's 5,000, base jumping's 500, something along those lines. But basically, you have to show through experience that you're able to conduct these things, and relatively safe. Any questions from the peanut gallery this evening?
I don't actually. That was very well done.
And with that, base jump.